Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health paradigm. With over 1,400 of these, hopefully there are many things that you can listen to that give you a little bit of a boost in a positive direction. Today we'll talk about kind of being an empath and the challenges therein. If you are dealing with empathy or sensitivity to energy, sensitivity to emotion, would love to be of assistance to you. I've worked with over 18,000 people in the last 15 years, and would love to continue to be able to doing that should my body hold out. But anyhow, in any event, there's a couple things to look at there. The first is understanding that reaching out for help is not a challenge. There's very little I haven't heard before, but a couple ways you can reach out at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of the YouTube page. Either one will get you in touch with me or a member of my team. We can move forward from there. The first is understanding that for empaths, it's extremely hard to pick up on other people's emotions, which actually is what an empath is. The filtering and or picking up on other people's emotions without realizing that's what you're doing, and also the filtering of the emotions. So the amplification of the emotions you're feeling from others. If someone else is sad, you're going to feel it as though it's your own feeling. If someone else is angry, you will have the same experience. Not everybody has this trait. Some people debate whether there's about 25 to 20%, 20 to 25% of people in the world that have that particular trait. But if you have it and you don't know how to filter it and you're not grounding from it and or finding ways to calm down and disengage from the emotion that is ultimately not yours, it can be super overwhelming. The next is the disability or the inability to disconnect can be super overwhelming as well. That is, when you don't want to feel someone else's emotions, but they're being flooded at you anyway. There are many techniques of visualization and or things that you begin to learn how to do to disconnect. But if those aren't working, or if you've never learned how to do that, dealing with this as a concept can become extremely difficult and overwhelming for a number of reasons. Partially because it's painful, partially because it's not necessarily exactly where we want it to be, and partially because the level of overwhelm is often too much to deal with. The next thing is sometimes empaths are overly patient with other people because they don't want to be responsible for causing emotional pain. Now, this is good if the person needs compassion or needs a level of, a certain level of connectivity and compassion in being able to deal with their own emotions. However, if an empath is an individual who is willing to take advantage of the fact, in other words, like a dark empath, that is someone who's willing to take their negative emotions and thrust them at others, that can be super negative and overwhelming. The patience can be then taken advantage of, taken for granted, and ultimately lead a person to be overwhelmed by the negativity of it all. Next thing there is recklessness. So being reckless with emotions and or making emotional decisions. Many people who have a great deal of struggles with immaturity and or the inability to see the world in a way that's going to protect them for the future and live in a manner that gives them stability can become extremely difficult, and it can become difficult to even look at the possibility or the reasons to socialize. If one feels like they're going to be emotionally overwhelmed every time they step into the sector of feeling kind of negatively impacted by the emotions of others, socialization becomes so overwhelming that people will avoid doing it just to cut down on the value that they're giving out to the world versus what they're giving back. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily harsh or mean or in some way unjustified. Just instead that they are kind of dealing with a way to kind of balance things in a good way for themselves, so that the overwhelm doesn't own every part of who they are, their being, and or the way in which they relate with the world. Understanding that being an empath is something that does require monitoring, self-control, personal control, and a certain level of commitment to that connection point is also super, super valuable and super necessary as well when we begin to understand how to do that in a way that matters. It's an important aspect of things there, and ultimately, making a social connective can be super, super important and necessary. So, identifying the ways to do that is also extremely important. We can continue to connect on a deeper level. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.